The champagne cork hit the ceiling of our beach house with a satisfying pop, and I watched my wife Emily raise her glass to toast our 15th anniversary. What I didn't know was that the man she'd been sleeping with for the past 8 months was texting her at that exact moment, asking when she'd be done with the old routine so they could meet up. I found out 3 hours later. My name is David Walsh, and I'm a commercial airline pilot for Delta. 42 years old, decent shape, decent income, decent everything. That was always my problem, I guess. I was just decent. Emily wanted extraordinary, and she found it in the arms of a 31-year-old personal trainer named Blake Sutton, who worked at the gym she'd joined last January. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That Saturday evening in June started perfectly. Our kids, Lily, 13, and Owen, 10, were at my sister's place in Charleston for the weekend. Emily had planned this romantic getaway to our rental property in Hilton Head, the same place where we'd honeymooned 15 years earlier. She wore that blue dress I'd always loved, her blonde hair falling just past her shoulders the way it did when we first met. At 40 years old, she was still beautiful. Still the woman I'd fallen in love with in college. "To us," she said, her green eyes meeting mine across the candlelit table. "To 15 years. To 50 more," I replied, clinking my glass against hers. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. I noticed, but dismissed it. Emily had been distant lately, always on her phone, always at the gym or running errands. I'd attributed it to stress from her job as a real estate agent. The market had been competitive, and she'd been working longer hours. Or so she said. We finished dinner around 8:30. Emily excused herself to use the restroom, leaving her phone face down on the table. It buzzed once, twice, 3 times in rapid succession. I'm not a suspicious person by nature. In 15 years of marriage, I'd never once checked her phone, read her emails, or questioned where she'd been. Trust was the foundation of everything we'd built together. But something about the insistence of those buzzes made my stomach tighten. The phone buzzed again. I reached for it before I could talk myself out of it, flipping it over to see the screen. The preview messages were right there. No need to unlock anything. Blake? Miss you already, baby? Blake? Can't wait to get my hands on you later. Blake? Tell me when the charade is over. Blake? Same hotel as last time? The champagne in my stomach turned to acid. I sat there, staring at those words, my brain refusing to process what my eyes were seeing. The charade. He'd called our anniversary dinner a charade, which meant Emily had told him about tonight, had planned to see him after, had probably been seeing him for how long? My hands started shaking. The phone buzzed again. Blake. Wear that thing I like. I heard the bathroom door open down the hall. Emily's heels clicked against the hardwood floor, getting closer. I had maybe 5 seconds to decide what to do. Confront her now? Pretend I hadn't seen anything? My pilot training kicked in, the same training that taught me to stay calm during emergencies, to gather information before making critical decisions. I set the phone back down exactly as I'd found it, face down on the table. Emily returned, sliding into her seat with that same not quite right smile. Sorry about that. Where were we? I was just thinking, I said, my voice sounding remarkably steady, despite the fact that my entire world had just collapsed. Maybe we should call it an early night. I'm more tired than I thought. Her face brightened, actually brightened, with relief. Oh, are you sure? I mean, if you're tired, that's totally fine. We can save the rest of the champagne for tomorrow. Tomorrow, when she'd already be planning to meet Blake, when she'd be lying next to me in bed, counting down the hours until she could be with him instead. Yeah, I said. Let's head up. We went through the motions of getting ready for bed. She disappeared into the bathroom for 20 minutes, texting him, I now realized, telling him she'd be free soon. Making plans while I sat on the edge of the bed we'd shared for 15 years, trying to figure out how I'd missed this. How long had it been going on? Months? Years? How many times had she kissed me goodbye before meeting him? How many late showings and client dinners had been cover stories? How many times had she come home and slipped into bed beside me, her skin still warm from his touch? Emily emerged from the bathroom in the silk nightgown I'd bought her for Christmas. Another prop in the charade. "You okay?" she asked, settling into bed beside me. "You seem quiet." "Just thinking about work," I lied. "Got a long-haul flight to Frankfurt next week. 5-day trip." "Oh." She picked up her phone from the nightstand, typing quickly. Probably telling Blake she'd have 5 days of freedom while I was gone. "That's a long one." "Yeah." She kissed my cheek, a kiss that now felt like a betrayal in itself, and turned off her bedside lamp. "Love you." 2 words she'd said thousands of times. 2 words that now meant nothing. "Love you too," I replied automatically. She fell asleep within minutes, her breathing deep and even. The sleep of someone with a clear conscience or someone who'd become an expert at compartmentalizing. I lay awake in the darkness, listening to her breathe, my mind racing through possibilities. I needed proof. Screenshots of messages weren't enough. I hadn't even taken any. I needed concrete evidence before I made any moves. I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. The sun through the bedroom window woke me before Emily stirred. I'd slept maybe 2 hours total, lying rigid beside her while she breathed peacefully, her back to me like always. 15 years of this position, her facing away, me staring at her shoulder blades. I used to find it endearing, the way she curled into herself. Now I wondered if she'd been turning away from me all along. I dressed quietly and went to the kitchen. Coffee, routine, the pilot's mantra: execute the checklist, maintain composure, land the plane safely. My hands were steady as I measured grounds and poured water. Through the window, the Atlantic stretched gray and indifferent under morning clouds. Emily appeared at 7:30 wearing yoga pants and a tank top, hair pulled back, face fresh scrubbed. Beautiful. That was the cruelest part. She looked exactly like the woman I'd married. "Morning," she said, kissing my cheek. Her lips felt like a brand. "Morning. Sleep okay?" "Fine." The lie came easily. I was learning. She poured coffee, added cream, scrolled her phone. I watched her thumb move across the screen. Was she texting him? Deleting evidence? Planning their next meeting? "I was thinking we could grab breakfast at that place on the marina," she said. "The one with the crab cake Benedict?" "Sure." "You seem quiet." "Just tired. The Frankfurt trip is going to be brutal." She nodded, already looking back at her phone. Dismissed. How many times had I been dismissed while she lived her secret life? We drove to the marina in my truck, the same truck she'd borrowed 3 weeks ago for errands. I'd found a receipt from a hotel in Savannah tucked in the console afterward. She'd claimed it was for a client showing. I'd believed her. That was always my problem, I guess. I was just decent. The restaurant was crowded, families and couples enjoying Sunday morning by the water. We sat outside on the deck, ordered, made small talk about the kids. Emily mentioned Lily needed new soccer cleats. Owen had a science project due next week. The mundane architecture of family life, all of it suddenly revealed as scaffolding around a hollow structure. Her phone buzzed twice during breakfast. She glanced at it, smiled slightly, turned it face down. "Work?" I asked. "Just a client. Nothing urgent." Another lie. I could see them now, stacking up like cordwood. How many lies in 8 months? Hundreds? Thousands? After breakfast, we walked the marina. Emily took my hand. The contact made my skin crawl, but I held on, played my part. A couple strolled past with a golden retriever. Emily commented on how cute it was. I agreed. The charade continued. "I should probably head back this afternoon," I said. Get ready for the trip. I've got the briefing tomorrow at 9. Oh, was that disappointment or relief in her voice? I thought we had until tonight. I know, but I want to go over the route materials. New crew, new protocols. Right, of course. She squeezed my hand. This was nice, though. We should do it more often. We should. We packed up the beach house in silence, punctuated by occasional comments about where things belonged. Emily stripped the bed, and I watched her fold the sheets where she'd slept peacefully while I'd lain awake cataloging betrayals. She hummed while she worked. Actually hummed. The drive back to Nashville took 6 hours. Emily dozed for most of it, her head against the window. I drove and thought. The pilot's mind, trained for crisis management, assess the situation, identify the problem, determine the solution, execute the plan. The problem was clear. The solution was divorce. The execution required evidence. I had the text messages photographed on my phone, but I needed more. Dates, times, locations. A pattern of deception documented and irrefutable. Emily was smart. She'd fight, deny, claim. The texts were a misunderstanding. I needed proof that would hold up in court and custody hearings. We pulled into our driveway at 4 o'clock. Our house, a brick colonial in a good school district, 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage, the American dream in architectural form. I'd paid most of the mortgage with my pilot's salary while Emily built her real estate career. Now I wondered how many showings had been afternoons at cheap hotels. I'll get Lily and Owen tomorrow after school, Emily said, gathering her bag. Your sister said they've been great. Good. Inside, the house felt staged. Emily had always been particular about decor. Throw pillows arranged just so, candles on the mantel, family photos in matching frames. Now it all looked like a real estate listing. Attractive, but empty. A house, not a home. Emily went upstairs to shower. I heard the water running and sat on the couch in the living room, staring at the framed photo on the end table. Our wedding day. Emily in white, me in my dress uniform, both of us young and stupid with hope. I picked up the frame, studied her face. Had she loved me then? Or had I always been just the decent choice, the stable option, the man who'd provide while she looked for something else? My phone buzzed. A text from my sister. Kids asking when you're picking them up. Tell them tomorrow? I replied, Emily will get them after school tomorrow. Thanks for watching them. Anytime. How was the anniversary? I stared at the question. How was the anniversary? How was discovering your wife's infidelity? How was realizing your marriage was a performance? Fine. Nice to get away. Another lie. I was getting good at those. The shower stopped. I heard Emily moving around upstairs, drawers opening and closing. Getting dressed for what? An evening at home with her husband? Or was she planning to slip out later, claim a work emergency, meet Blake somewhere? She came down 20 minutes later in jeans and a sweater, hair damp, smelling like the lavender shampoo she'd used for years. Everything familiar. Everything false. I'm going to run to the grocery store, she said. We need milk and bread. You want anything? No. Okay, be back in an hour. She kissed me goodbye, actually kissed me, and I let her. The door closed. Her car started. She backed out of the driveway and I watched through the window until she disappeared around the corner. Then I moved. Her home office was on the first floor, a converted den with built-in shelves and a desk she'd bought at an estate sale. I sat in her chair and opened her laptop. No password. She'd never bothered with one at home. Why would she? I was decent, trustworthy, not the type to snoop. Her email loaded. I scrolled through recent messages. Client communications, HOA updates, promotional offers. Nothing incriminating. But in her deleted folder, I found them. Messages from Blake's gym email address, going back 9 months, not 8, 9. January 12th. Great session today, same time Thursday. January 19th. You looked amazing in those leggings. February 3. Can't stop thinking about yesterday. The progression was clear. Professional to flirtatious to explicit. By March, they'd stopped using email and switched to text. Smarter, harder to trace. But these early messages established the timeline and pattern. I photographed each one with my phone, hands steady despite the acid climbing my throat. In her desk drawer, I found a credit card statement I'd never seen before. She'd opened a separate account, charged to it regularly. Hotels in Savannah, Athens, Chattanooga. Dinners at expensive restaurants. A jewelry purchase at a boutique in Atlanta for $300. All on days when I'd been flying, when she'd claimed to be showing properties or meeting clients. I photographed the statement. In the bottom drawer, under files and folders, I found a small box. Inside was a man's watch, expensive, Tag Heuer, engraved on the back. To be, from E always. A gift for Blake. Probably for his birthday or Christmas. $300 at the Atlanta boutique. My wife had bought her lover a watch and hidden it in our home office, waiting for the right moment to give it to him. I held the watch in my palm, felt its weight. Evidence. Cold, metallic, irrefutable evidence. The garage door opener buzzed. Emily was back. I replaced everything exactly as I'd found it, closed the laptop, left the office. By the time she came through the door with grocery bags, I was on the couch with my tablet, reviewing flight charts like nothing had happened. Got everything, she called. They had those crackers you like. Thanks. She put groceries away, humming again. That same tuneless melody. I wondered if she hummed it while she was with him. The following morning, I woke to find Emily already dressed, standing by the bedroom window with her phone pressed to her ear. She wore workout clothes, black leggings and a fitted tank top that showed off the muscle tone she'd developed over the past 9 months. I can't talk right now, she said softly into the phone. I'll call you later. She ended the call before I could pretend to still be asleep. Morning, I said, stretching as if I'd just woken up. Who was that? Just work. She didn't turn around. A client texting about a showing this afternoon. I told them I'd call back when we get home. Another lie. Real estate agents don't call clients at 7 in the morning on a Sunday. I thought we had the whole weekend, I said. We do. The showing's not until 4. We'll be back by then. She finally looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes I couldn't quite place. Guilt, maybe, or calculation. I'm going for a run on the beach. Want to come? I'm good. Might make us some breakfast when you get back. Perfect. She kissed my forehead, a gesture that once meant affection but now felt like part of the performance. Back in 30. I listened to her footsteps descend the stairs, waited for the front door to close. Then I moved to the window and watched her jog down the beach access path, phone already back at her ear. She wasn't going for a run. She was going to call Blake without me overhearing. I had 30 minutes. Her laptop sat on the dresser where she'd left it the night before. I'd already combed through her emails, but there had to be more. People like Emily, people maintaining double lives, always left traces. They couldn't help it. I opened her browser history. She'd been careful to clear it regularly, but she'd made one critical mistake. She'd stayed logged into her personal email on the laptop, and that email was linked to her phone's cloud backup. It took me less than 5 minutes to find the settings, another 3 to access her text message archive. The messages loaded slowly, months of conversation materializing on the screen. I scrolled past the recent exchanges I'd already seen on her phone last night and went deeper. February, January, December. There, November 18th. The first message from Blake. Blake, great session today. You're stronger than you think. Emily. Thanks. I'm definitely feeling it. Same time Thursday? Blake. I'll pencil you in. Innocent enough. But I kept scrolling, watching the evolution. By mid-December, the messages had shifted. Blake. Thinking about you? Emily. You shouldn't. Blake. Can't help it. Emily. Blake. Blake. Dinner? Just as friends? Emily. I'm married. Blake. I know. 4 days later, she'd said yes. The dinner had been on December 22nd, according to the credit card statement I'd found. 3 days before Christmas. 3 days before she'd sat with me and the kids around our tree, opening presents and drinking hot chocolate, playing the role of devoted wife and mother. I kept reading. The messages after that dinner changed everything. Emily. Last night was a mistake. Blake. Didn't feel like a mistake. Emily. I have a family. Blake. You also have needs. Emily. This can't happen again. Blake. Then why are you still texting me? She hadn't responded to that one. But 2 weeks later, on January 8th, Emily. Same hotel. Blake. I'll get the room. I sat back, the laptop screen blurring. January 8th. I'd been on a 3-day trip to Seattle. She told me she was showing properties to an out-of-town client and might stay late. I'd called her that night around 10, and she'd answered, slightly breathless, claiming she'd just gotten home from a marathon showing session. She'd been in a hotel room with Blake. My hands were shaking again. I forced myself to keep reading, to document everything. I took photos of the messages with my phone, dozens of them, creating a timeline of deception that stretched across 9 months. The most recent messages were from yesterday, before we'd left for Hilton Head. Blake. Can't believe you're wasting a whole weekend with him. Emily. It's our anniversary. I have to. Blake. You don't have to do anything. Emily. He'd suspect something if I didn't go. Blake. So what? Leave him. Emily. It's not that simple. There are kids involved. Blake. Excuses. Emily. I need more time. Blake. I'm getting tired of being your secret. Emily. Just give me until the end of summer. I'll figure something out. End of summer, she was planning to leave me, planning to destroy our family, upend our children's lives, all for a 31-year-old personal trainer who sent shirtless selfies and called our marriage a charade. I heard footsteps on the stairs. I closed the laptop, returned it to its exact position on the dresser, and grabbed my phone. By the time Emily opened the bedroom door, I was sitting on the edge of the bed scrolling through airline scheduling, the picture of a husband checking his work calendar. Good run? I asked. Great. She was barely winded. She hadn't run at all. I'm going to shower, then we can make breakfast together? Sounds good. She disappeared into the bathroom. I heard the water start, heard her humming something I didn't recognize. I looked down at my phone, at the photos I'd just taken. Dozens of screenshots, a complete record of betrayal. Evidence that would hold up in any divorce court in the country. But evidence wasn't enough. I needed leverage. The watch. The tag Heuer I'd found in her desk drawer, still in its box, engraving gleaming on the back. To be. Time spent with you is never wasted. E. She'd spent $300 on a gift for her lover. Money from our joint account, from the life we'd built together, redirected to celebrate her affair. I thought about the credit card statements, the hotel charges, the Ritz in Charlotte, the boutique place in Asheville, the bed and breakfast in Savannah. Each one a weekend when I'd been flying, when she'd claimed to be working. How many lies? How many times had she kissed our children goodbye, tucked them into bed at my sister's house or a friend's place, then driven to meet Blake? The shower shut off. I heard her moving around in the bathroom getting dressed. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister. Julie. Kids are great. Owen wants to know if he can go to the arcade with Tyler later. Okay with you? I stared at the message. Owen, 10 years old, asking permission to go to an arcade with his cousin. Normal childhood stuff. The kind of innocent request that would become complicated soon when his world split in half. David. Sure, thanks for watching them. Julie. Anytime. You two having fun? Fun. That's what this was supposed to be. A romantic anniversary weekend. Rekindling. Celebration. David. It's been enlightening. Julie. David. Tell you later. Emily emerged from the bathroom in fresh clothes, her hair damp. Ready for breakfast? I'm starving. Actually, I said, I need to make a call first. Work thing. Flight scheduling issue. On a Sunday? You know how it is. I stood, phone in hand. I'll just be a few minutes. Why don't you start the coffee? She hesitated, and I saw it again. That flicker of something in her eyes. Did she suspect? Could she tell that I knew? Okay, she said finally. Don't be too long. I'm making pancakes. She left the room. I waited until I heard her downstairs, heard the coffee maker gurgling to life, before I opened my phone and pulled up the photos I'd taken. 9 months of messages, dozens of hotels, $300 for a watch she'd never given him. I had everything I needed for the divorce. But that wasn't enough anymore. I wanted her to know what it felt like, the discovery, the betrayal, the moment when everything you thought was real revealed itself as performance. I wanted her to feel exactly what I felt, and I knew exactly how to make that happen. The drive back to Nashville took 7 hours. Emily slept for most of it, her head tilted against the window, occasionally stirring to check her phone. Each time she did, I watched from the corner of my eye as her lips curved into a small smile before she typed something quick and set it back in her lap. I kept both hands on the wheel and my eyes on the road. We stopped once for gas outside Columbia. Emily went inside for the restroom while I filled the tank. When she came back, she was carrying 2 coffees and a bag of trail mix. Thought you might want something, she said, handing me the cup. Thanks. She settled back into her seat, pulling out her phone again. The screen illuminated her face in the dim interior, green eyes focused, thumbs moving. Then she caught me looking and put it away. Work stuff, she said. Client wants to see a property tomorrow afternoon. On Sunday? Market's competitive. She sipped her coffee. You know how it is? I did know. Just not the way she meant. We got home around 6. The house felt enormous and empty without the kids. Emily kicked off her shoes in the mudroom and headed straight for the bedroom with her overnight bag. I'm going to take a shower, she called back. Julie said she'd have the kids home by 8. I stood in the kitchen, listening to the water run upstairs, and pulled out my phone. The photos were all still there, hundreds of them, organized into albums, messages, emails, credit card statements, the watch. Everything documented, backed up to 3 separate cloud accounts she didn't know I had. But documentation wasn't enough. Not for what I needed. I opened my contacts and scrolled to a name I hadn't called in 2 years. Travis Brennan. We'd flown together for 6 years before he left Delta to start his own business, a private investigation firm specializing in domestic cases. He'd told me once, half drunk at a retirement party, that 80% of his clients were divorce cases. At the time, I'd laughed and said I'd never need his services. The phone rang 3 times before he picked up. David Walsh. It's been a minute. Hey, Travis. You still doing the PI work? There was a pause. Yeah, I am. His voice shifted, professional now. What do you need? I need to know everything about someone. Where he lives, where he works, his routine, everything. This about your wife? I shouldn't have been surprised, he guessed. Yeah. His name? Blake Sutton, personal trainer, works at... I pulled up one of Emily's emails to check the gym name. Elevation Fitness on West End Avenue. Got it. How fast do you need this? Soon as possible. I can have basics by tomorrow evening. Full workup by Wednesday. That work? Perfect. David. Travis's voice softened slightly. I'm sorry, man. I really am. Just get me the information. I hung up as the shower shut off upstairs. By the time Emily came down, hair wet, wearing yoga pants and one of my old college t-shirts, I had dinner started. Nothing fancy, just pasta and the marinara sauce she liked from the Italian place on 12th. Smells good, she said, pouring herself a glass of wine. Want one? I'm good. We ate at the kitchen island instead of the dining room table. Emily talked about the beach house, how nice it had been to get away, how we should do it more often. She mentioned a property she was showing next week, a new listing in Belle Meade that was seriously underpriced for the neighborhood. I made appropriate sounds, nodded at the right moments. At 7:45, headlights swept across the front windows. Emily jumped up, practically running to the door. I heard her voice go bright and high, her mom voice, as Lily and Owen tumbled inside with their backpacks and stories about mini-golf in the aquarium. Dad! Owen barreled into me, all elbows and energy. We saw a shark that was like 15 feet long. 12 feet, Lily corrected, rolling her eyes. But she was smiling as she hugged me. It was still really cool, though. Julie appeared in the doorway, overnight bags in hand. They were perfect, as always. She caught my eye, held it for just a second longer than normal. My sister had always been able to read me better than anyone. Thanks for taking them, Emily said, already steering the kids toward the stairs. Bath time, both of you. School tomorrow. After the protest died down and the kids headed up, Julie lingered by the door. Emily had disappeared into the kitchen, giving us a moment. You okay? Julie asked quietly. Yeah. David. I'm fine, really. I'll call you this week. She didn't believe me, but she nodded and left. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of normal domesticity. Homework checks, bedtime routines. Owen's insistence that he wasn't tired even as his eyes drooped. Lily's request for her phone back. We had a rule about devices staying downstairs at night, which Emily granted over my silent objection. By 10, the house was quiet again. Emily was already in bed when I came up, reading something on her iPad. She looked up when I entered. Come to bed, she said. I'm exhausted. I went through the motions, brushed my teeth, changed clothes, slid under the covers on my side of the bed we'd shared for 15 years. She put the iPad away and turned toward me, her hand finding my chest. Thank you for this weekend, she said. I know work's been crazy for both of us. It was nice to just be us again. Be us again. As if there still was an us. As if she hadn't spent the entire weekend texting another man. As if she wasn't planning to leave by end of summer. Yeah, I said. It was nice. She kissed me, just a soft press of lips, then settled against her pillow. Within minutes, her breathing had evened out into sleep. I stared at the ceiling, counting the minutes. At midnight, I slipped out of bed and went downstairs to my office. The room was dark, except for the glow of my laptop screen as I opened my email and started composing. The first message went to Richard Payne, a divorce attorney whose name I'd gotten from Travis years ago during a conversation I'd never thought I'd need to remember. I kept it brief. Needed consultation, time-sensitive, would call Monday morning to schedule. The second message went to my chief pilot at Delta, requesting the next 2 weeks off for family emergency. I had enough banked leave. They wouldn't ask questions. The third message I drafted but didn't send. It was addressed to Blake Sutton's public Instagram account, the one Emily had mentioned in an email, the one where he posted gym selfies and training tips and motivational quotes about living your best life. I looked at his face in his profile picture. Young, smug, completely unaware that his life was about to get very complicated. But that message could wait. I needed Travis's information first. Needed to know exactly where Blake lived, where he went, what his routine looked like. Needed to understand the full scope of what I was dealing with. I closed the laptop and sat in the darkness of my office, listening to the house settle around me. Tomorrow, Emily would go to her property showing. She'd meet Blake at whatever hotel they'd chosen this time. She'd come home and kiss the kids goodnight and slide into bed beside me like nothing had happened. And I would smile and nod and play my part in the charade. Because that's what we were now. Two actors on a stage performing a marriage that had already ended. The only difference was that she didn't know I'd read the script, didn't know the final act was already written. I just had to wait for my cue. My phone buzzed. A text from Travis. Got a hit on the gym. He's on the schedule tomorrow 6 a.m. 2 p.m. I'll have more by evening. I typed back, perfect. Thanks. Upstairs, I could hear Emily shift in her sleep, the mattress creaking softly. I stayed in my office until dawn started to gray the windows, planning. The phone rang at 6:47 a.m. I'd been awake since 5, sitting at the kitchen table in the darkness, watching the sunrise paint orange streaks across the horizon. Emily slept upstairs, peaceful as a child. The kids were still at Julie's. The house felt enormous and empty. David. Travis's voice came through crisp and businesslike. Got what you need. I stepped out onto the back deck, sliding the glass door shut behind me. That was fast. Blake Sutton isn't exactly a criminal mastermind. Guy's got a digital footprint the size of Texas. I heard papers shuffling. You want the highlights or the full report? Highlights now. Send me everything. Blake Anthony Sutton, 31, born in Knoxville. Moved to Nashville 4 years ago after getting fired from an Equinox in Atlanta. Sexual harassment complaint from a client. Married woman. Her husband threatened legal action. The gym settled quietly and let him go. My grip tightened on the railing. He's done this before. Twice that I can confirm. The Atlanta thing, and another situation in Knoxville before that. Different gym, similar pattern. Targets married women with money. This isn't romance, David. It's a business model. The sunrise looked less beautiful suddenly. Just light exposing things that had been hidden in darkness. Current employment at PowerFit Nashville started 3 years ago. Makes about $42,000 base salary plus whatever he gets from private sessions. Drives a 2019 BMW 3 Series. Leased, payments are 2 months behind. Rents a 1-bedroom in Green Hills for $1,800 a month. Credit score is 580. He's got $12,000 in credit card debt, another $8,000 on a personal loan. So he's broke. Broke and getting broker. Here's where it gets interesting. Travis paused. He's got a girlfriend. I actually laughed. The sound came out harsh and bitter. Of course he does. Madison Reeves, 24, works as a cocktail waitress at the Sutler. They've been together about 6 months, based on social media. She has no idea about your wife. Posted a photo of them together 4 days ago with a heart emoji. 4 days ago, while Emily was texting him about our anniversary weekend being a charade. I'm sending you screenshots of his Instagram, Facebook, Venmo transactions. The guy documents everything. There's photos of him and Madison at restaurants your wife paid for, based on the credit card statements you gave me. He's taking this girl out on Emily's dime. The champagne in my stomach from last weekend might as well have been battery acid. What else? His gym contract is up for renewal next month. Word around the fitness community is PowerFit isn't planning to keep him. Too many complaints from husbands, too much drama. He's been looking for work at other gyms, but nobody's biting. Reputation precedes him. So Blake was desperate. Broke, about to be unemployed, juggling multiple women. And Emily thought she was special, thought he loved her, thought she'd leave me by end of summer, and what? Live happily ever after with a 31-year-old con artist who couldn't make his car payments? One more thing, Travis said. I pulled his phone records. Don't ask me how. He's been calling a number in Florida about twice a week. Turns out it's his ex-wife. He's married. Divorced 2 years ago. She lives in Tampa now, works as a dental hygienist. I reached out very carefully, just asking general questions. She was happy to talk. Said Blake cleaned out their joint account and disappeared. She had to file bankruptcy. I closed my eyes. The morning sun felt hot on my face. She said he's a narcissist, textbook. Charming, manipulative, always has 3 or 4 women on the hook. She found out he'd been sleeping with clients their entire marriage. When she confronted him, he told her it was her fault for letting herself go after the wedding. Jesus. Yeah, she said to tell whoever's asking, and she knew it was about another woman, that he'll drain her dry and disappear the second something better comes along. It's what he does. I thought about the Tag Heuer watch in Emily's desk drawer. $300 she'd spent on a man who was taking his actual girlfriend out to dinner with her credit card. A man who'd done this before, who'd do it again, who saw my wife as nothing more than a wallet with benefits. Send me everything, I said. Photos, records, all of it. Already in your email, David. Travis hesitated. What are you planning? I don't know yet. Be smart. Don't do anything that'll hurt you in court. I'm always smart, I said. I'm a pilot. Smart is what keeps me alive. After we hung up, I stood on the deck for another 20 minutes, watching Nashville wake up. Neighbors leaving for work, sprinklers clicking on, a dog barking 3 houses down. Normal life, continuing like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I went back inside and opened my laptop. Travis's email sat at the top of my inbox, marked urgent. I clicked it open. The first attachment was a photo of Blake and Madison at a restaurant I recognized. The Southern Steak and Oyster. Emily's secret credit card had a charge from there on May 18th for $187. In the photo, Madison wore a black dress and smiled at the camera while Blake kissed her cheek. The caption read, "Best boyfriend ever, treating me like a queen." Emily's money. Emily's card. His girlfriend. I scrolled through more photos. Blake at the gym, shirtless, flexing. Blake and Madison at a Predators game. Blake in front of his BMW, leaning against the hood like he owned something worth leaning on. His Instagram bio read, "Fitness entrepreneur, living my best life. DM for training info." Entrepreneur. The man was 2 months behind on his car payments. The Venmo transactions told their own story. Emily had sent him money 14 times since January. Never large amounts, $50 here, $75 there, always with innocent captions. Smoothie run, coffee, training session. Small enough not to trigger alerts, frequent enough to add up. I calculated quickly, 847 total. Plus the hotels, plus the dinners, plus the watch she hadn't given him yet. I opened a new document and started typing. Not the Instagram message. That had been anger talking, satisfying but stupid. This needed to be surgical, precise. First, I compiled everything into a folder. Blake's photos with Madison, the Venmo transactions, the credit card statements, Travis's background report, the text messages from Emily's phone. I organized it chronologically, created a timeline, added notes. Then I drafted an email. Not to Blake, not to Emily, not yet. To Madison Reeves. I found her email address through her Instagram. She had it listed for business inquiries related to some kind of lifestyle blog she ran. The email took me 45 minutes to write, revising each sentence until it was perfect. Dear Madison, you don't know me, but we have something in common. My name is David Walsh, and my wife has been having an affair with your boyfriend, Blake Sutton, for the past 9 months. I'm not writing this to hurt you. I'm writing because I believe you deserve to know the truth, the same way I deserve to know it. I've attached documentation, text messages, photos, credit card statements, and Venmo transactions. The evidence speaks for itself. Blake has been using my wife's money to take you out to dinner, to pay for dates, to fund the lifestyle he's been showing you. The restaurants, the gifts, the treating you like a queen. It's all been paid for by another woman. I discovered this 5 days ago. I've been gathering information since then, trying to understand how this happened. In the process, I learned about Blake's history, the harassment complaints, the pattern of targeting married women, the ex-wife in Florida who's still recovering from what he did to her. You seem like a nice person from your social media. You post about your family, your job, your dreams of opening your own business someday. You don't deserve this. Neither of us do. I'm telling you this now because I believe in honesty, even when it destroys things, especially then. You can do whatever you want with this information. I won't contact you again. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you. David Walsh. I attached the folder and read the email 3 more times. It was calm, factual, impossible to dismiss as crazy jealous husband ranting. The evidence was irrefutable. My finger hovered over the send button. Upstairs, I heard Emily's alarm go off. Her footsteps crossed the bedroom floor. The shower turned on. I saved the email as a draft and closed the laptop. Not yet. Not until I had everything in place. The sound of the shower running down the hall was steady, rhythmic. I sat at the edge of our bed in the beach house, laptop open, Travis's file spread across the nightstand like evidence at a crime scene. The email to Madison Reeves glowed on the screen. Drafted, documented, devastating. One click and Blake's world would implode. But that wasn't enough anymore. I closed the laptop and picked up my phone. The group text thread with our Nashville friends sat there. 3 days of messages I'd been ignoring. Casual chatter about a cookout next weekend at Ryan and Melissa's place. Emily had already responded. Can't wait. I'll bring my famous potato salad. Her famous potato salad. The one she'd stopped making for me 2 years ago because she claimed it was too much work. I scrolled further back. March. A photo from Melissa's birthday dinner at Husk. 8 of us around the table. Ryan and Melissa, Josh and Amanda, Kevin and Nicole, Emily and me. Everyone smiling. Emily's hand on my shoulder in the picture, her other hand below the table where I couldn't see it. Had she been texting Blake even then? I found what I was looking for in February. A casual exchange after Super Bowl Sunday at Kevin and Nicole's house. Nicole. Emily, I'm obsessed with those pearl drop earrings you were wearing. Where did you get them? Emily. Thanks. Birthday gift from David last year. He has good taste sometimes. I remembered those earrings. Bought them at a jewelry store in the airport during a layover in San Francisco. $200. She'd worn them exactly twice that I could recall, then claimed one had disappeared, and she was heartbroken about losing it. Except 3 weeks ago, I'd found a pearl earring under the passenger seat of my truck. The shower shut off. I could hear Emily humming something through the bathroom door. That song that had been playing at dinner. The one she'd said reminded her of our wedding. More performance. More charade. I pulled up the photo from her sister's wedding last September on my phone. The one where Emily stood with the bridesmaids, all of them in sage green dresses. I zoomed in on Emily's ears. Diamond studs. Not pearls. But there, 3 people down in the lineup. Her sister's college roommate, Claire something. Pearl drop earrings. The same ones. My hands weren't shaking anymore. That initial shock from Hilton Head had crystallized into something colder, more precise. Pilot mode. Assess the situation. Gather all available data. Execute the plan. I texted Travis. Need you to find out who Claire Hendricks is connected to in Nashville. Emily's sister's friend, pearl earrings. His response came back in 90 seconds. On it. Give me 2 hours. Emily emerged from the bathroom in her robe, hair wrapped in a towel. You're still up? I thought you'd be asleep by now. Couldn't sleep. I gestured at the laptop. Work stuff. Scheduling conflict for the Frankfurt run. She sat at the vanity, started her nighttime routine. Moisturizer, serum, eye cream. The same ritual I'd watched for 15 years, now just another part of the performance. When do you leave? Thursday morning. 5 days? Yeah. She met my eyes in the mirror. I'll miss you. Will you? Something flickered across her face, too quick to read. Of course, why would you even ask that? I shrugged. Just tired, I guess. Long day. She turned back to the mirror, satisfied with my retreat. That was always my problem, I guess. I made it too easy for her to lie. Travis called at 11:47 p.m. Emily was asleep beside me, or pretending to be. I slipped out to the deck, closing the sliding door silently behind me. Claire Hendricks married a guy named Brian Foster 3 years ago, Travis said without preamble. They live in Green Hills. He's a financial advisor. She works part-time at a boutique called Vine and Thread on 12th Avenue. Okay. Here's where it gets interesting. Claire and her husband are members at Power Fit Nashville, same gym as Blake. The ocean was dark beyond the beach house, waves rolling in steady and inevitable. When did they join? Let me check. November of last year. Right when Emily started going. The same month the affair started. Not January like Emily had told Blake in those texts. November. One more thing, Travis continued. Claire posted on Instagram 2 weeks ago about losing an earring at the gym. Quote, devastated. I lost one of my favorite pearl drops at spin class. If anyone finds it, please let me know. End quote. I closed my eyes. The earring in my truck. Emily had borrowed it 3 weeks ago for errands. She'd come back 4 hours later, flushed and distracted, claimed she'd just been showing houses all afternoon. David, you still there? Yeah. Send me screenshots of Claire's Instagram post and get me her phone number. You sure you want to go down this road? I'm already down it. Just need to see where it ends. He was quiet for a moment. Okay, sending now. But David, this is about to get messy. Once you start pulling these threads, people are going to notice. Good. I hung up and checked my phone. The screenshots came through. Claire's Instagram post, dated 3 weeks ago. A photo of the matching earring she still had, with that caption about losing its mate at spin class. The earring had never been Emily's. She'd picked it up at the gym, probably from the floor of the locker room or the lost and found, and kept it. Why? As some kind of trophy? Evidence of her double life? Or maybe she'd just been careless. Borrowed my truck to meet Blake somewhere, and the earring had fallen out of her gym bag where she'd stashed it, planning to return it to Claire later. Except she never did. I went back inside, past Emily's sleeping form, and retrieved the earring from where I'd hidden it in my shaving kit. Under the deck lights, it gleamed. A perfect teardrop pearl on a silver post. Worth maybe $50. Nothing compared to the watch she'd bought Blake with money from our joint account. But this was different. This was traceable. This was proof she'd been at that gym, in those spaces, living that other life. I took a photo of the earring in my palm and sent it to Travis. This is what I found in my truck. His response, Jesus. Then, what are you going to do with it? I stared at the earring for a long moment, thinking about Claire Hendricks who'd lost it at spin class, about Emily who'd found it and kept it, about the web of lies that connected them all. I'm going to give it back. Monday morning, Emily left for the office at 8:30. I waited until her car disappeared down the street, then called Claire's number. She answered on the third ring. Hello? Hi, is this Claire Foster? Yes. My name is David Walsh. I think I found something that belongs to you. A pause. Okay. A pearl drop earring. You posted about losing one at PowerFit a few weeks ago? Her voice brightened immediately. Oh my God, yes. Where did you find it? That's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. Would you have time to meet for coffee this morning? Say, 10 o'clock at Crema? Sure. I don't go into work until noon on Mondays, but how did you… I'll explain everything when I see you. I promise it'll be worth your time. Another pause, longer this time. Is everything okay? Not really, I said. But it will be. The coffee shop parking lot was nearly empty at 10 in the morning. I'd chosen a place in Green Hills, far enough from our usual haunts that we wouldn't run into anyone we knew. Through the window, I watched Claire Foster walk in. Mid-30s, athletic build, auburn hair pulled back in a ponytail. She wore yoga pants and a light jacket, looking exactly like what she was, a woman who'd just come from the gym. I'd already secured a corner table, 2 cups of coffee waiting. She spotted me immediately. I described myself over the phone and approached with a cautious smile. David? She extended her hand. Claire Foster. Thanks for meeting me. I stood, shook her hand, gestured to the coffee. Black, right? You mentioned that on the phone. Good memory. She sat, wrapping her hands around the cup but not drinking. Her eyes went to the small velvet jewelry box on the table between us. So you found my earring? I slid the box across to her. She opened it, and her face lit up with genuine relief. Oh my God, I thought it was gone forever. These were my grandmother's. She looked up at me. Where did you find it? Under the passenger seat of my truck. I kept my voice level, conversational. My wife borrowed it last Tuesday, said she had errands to run. Claire's smile faltered slightly. Something shifted in her expression. A flicker of recognition, maybe understanding. She was smart enough to know this wasn't just about returning jewelry. Your wife is Emily Walsh, she said carefully. Not a question. You know her. We're friendly, at PowerFit. Claire set the earring box down, her fingers still touching it like she needed to keep contact with something solid. We've talked a few times. She mentioned she was married to a pilot. Did she mention anything else? The question hung between us. Claire's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She picked up her coffee, took a sip, buying herself time to think. What is this really about, David? I respected that. The directness. No games. No pretending she didn't understand the subtext. I'm trying to piece together a timeline, I said. And I think you might have information that could help me. Information about what? About who was in my truck when your earring ended up under the seat. Claire set her coffee down. She looked at me for a long moment, and I could see her working through the implications, deciding how much to say, whether to get involved at all. I lost that earring 3 weeks ago, she finally said. At the gym. I took it off to work out. I always do, they get in the way. And when I went back to my locker, only one was there. You're sure it was at the gym? Positive. I remember because I was running late for a meeting. I threw my stuff in my bag and didn't realize until later that day. She paused. I asked at the front desk, checked the lost and found. Nothing. Did you tell anyone else you'd lost it? A few people. Claire's voice had grown quieter. I mentioned it to some of the regulars. It's a small community there, you know? We all kind of know each other. Did you mention it to Emily? She stopped, thinking. Maybe? I honestly can't remember specifically, but I probably did. We usually chat when we see each other. I nodded slowly. The pieces were fitting together in a way I didn't like but couldn't deny. Did you mention it to Blake Sutton? Claire's reaction was instant. A tightening around her eyes, a shift in her posture. Bingo. Why are you asking about Blake? Because I think he might have been the one who found your earring, and I think he gave it to my wife. The color drained from Claire's face. She looked down at the jewelry box, then back at me, and I could see her putting it together, reaching the same ugly conclusion I had. Jesus, she whispered. You know something. It wasn't a question. Claire ran a hand over her face. When she looked at me again, there was something like pity in her eyes, mixed with anger. I don't know anything for certain, she said carefully, but there's been talk at the gym. What kind of talk? She hesitated, clearly wrestling with how much to reveal, whether she owed loyalty to Emily or to the stranger sitting across from her. I waited. I'd learned patience these past few days, learned that silence could be more powerful than pressing. Blake has a reputation, Claire finally said. He's been there about a year and he's charming, you know? Good-looking, attentive. He makes you feel special when he's training you. She wrapped her hands tighter around her coffee cup. But there have been rumors about him getting too close to clients, married clients. Names? I'm not going to give you names. That's not fair to them. Her voice was firm. But I will tell you that I've seen him be very friendly with Emily. More than he is with other clients. How friendly? Touching her lower back when he's showing her form, standing closer than necessary, laughing at everything she says. Claire's expression was troubled. Look, it could be nothing. Trainers are naturally physical and Blake's personality is just like that. But combined with everything else? She sighed. There was an incident about 2 months ago. I was leaving late, around 8:30. Most people were gone. I saw Blake's car still in the lot. He drives this ridiculous Mustang, hard to miss, and Emily's SUV parked next to it. They were sitting in his car, just talking, as far as I could see, but she shrugged. It felt off, you know? The way they were positioned, kind of turned toward each other. Intimate. The champagne and acid feeling was back in my stomach. I kept my expression neutral. Did you tell anyone? No, it wasn't my business. And like I said, they were just talking. Could have been completely innocent. She looked at me directly. But you're asking these questions and you found my earring in your truck after Emily borrowed it. And now I'm wondering if maybe it wasn't so innocent. The earring, I said. If Blake found it at the gym, why would he give it to Emily instead of turning it into lost and found? Claire's mouth formed a thin line. Because if he gave it to her as a gift, she'd have to explain where it came from. But if he just left it somewhere, she'd find it, somewhere private. Then it becomes this little secret between them. Proof that he's thinking about her, that he notices things. Like my truck. Like your truck, she agreed quietly. We sat in silence for a moment. Around us, the coffee shop hummed with normal morning activity. People ordering lattes, tapping on laptops, living ordinary lives where the worst thing that might happen was a delayed meeting or a spilled drink. I'm sorry, Claire said finally. I don't know for certain that anything's going on, but you asked, and I felt like you deserved honesty. I appreciate that. I meant it. Can I ask you one more thing? Sure. Has Blake mentioned having a girlfriend? Claire's eyebrows rose. Madison? Yeah, he talks about her sometimes. Why? Just curious about his character. She gave me a knowing look. His character is that he's a player who tells different women what they want to hear. Madison's young and doesn't know better. The married clients... She shook her head. They should know better, but Blake's good at making them feel young again, desired. It's manipulative as hell. You sound like you've given this some thought. I have daughters, Claire said simply. 13 and 9. I think about the kind of men I don't want them to end up with. Blake Sutton is at the top of that list. I thought about Lily and Owen, about what this would do to them when it all came out. The anger that had been simmering in my chest burned hotter. "Thank you for meeting me," I said, standing, "and for being honest." Claire stood too, picking up the jewelry box with her grandmother's earring. "What are you going to do?" "I'm still deciding." She studied my face for a moment, then nodded. "Whatever you decide, I hope you know. This isn't your fault. Some people are just broken in ways that make them break other people." I watched her walk out to her car, then sat back down. My coffee had gone cold, but I drank it anyway, barely tasting it. The earring had been Blake's gift to Emily. A trophy from the gym, given in my truck, in the space I'd let her borrow because I trusted her. Because in 15 years, I'd never had a reason not to. I pulled out my phone and looked at the draft email to Madison Reeves, Blake's girlfriend, the one I'd written but not sent. Then I opened a new message and started typing. I sent the email to Madison at 11:03 a.m. Then I drove to Power Fit Nashville. The gym occupied a renovated warehouse on West End, all exposed brick and industrial lighting. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see rows of equipment, people running on treadmills, lifting weights, living their normal lives. I sat in my truck across the street for 20 minutes, watching the entrance. Blake emerged at 2:17 p.m., right on schedule according to Travis's information. He wore joggers and a tank top that showed off the physique he'd used to seduce my wife. He walked to his BMW, not a Mustang. Claire had been thinking of someone else, and checked his phone, smiling at something on the screen. I wondered if it was Emily, or Madison, or someone else entirely. He drove away and I didn't follow him. There was no point. I had everything I needed. Instead, I went home and called Richard Payne, the divorce attorney. The meeting was scheduled for Wednesday morning. I spent Tuesday gathering the last pieces, bank statements, mortgage documents, the kids' school records. Emily thought I was preparing for the Frankfurt flight. She kissed me goodbye Tuesday evening when she left for her client dinner, told me she'd be home late. She came home at 11:30 p.m., smelling like wine and lies. Wednesday morning, I sat across from Richard Payne in his downtown office. He was mid-50s, gray at the temples, with the calm demeanor of someone who'd seen every variation of human betrayal. I laid it all out. The text messages, the credit card statements, the hotels, Blake's history, the Venmo transactions, the watch still hidden in Emily's desk. Travis's full report. Photos of Blake with Madison, taken with Emily's money. Richard listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes. When I finished, he sat back in his chair. "This is thorough," he said. "Almost too thorough. You've been busy." "I'm a pilot. Thorough keeps people alive. It also makes my job easier." He flipped through the documentation again. "Tennessee is a fault state for divorce. Adultery is grounds, and you have more than enough evidence. The question is what you want the outcome to be. Custody of my kids, the house. Fair division of assets that accounts for the money she spent on the affair. All reasonable. The affair spending works in your favor. It's called dissipation of marital assets. We can argue she depleted joint funds for an extramarital relationship." He made another note. "What about alimony? I don't want to pay her a dime. Given the circumstances and your documentation, we can fight that. No guarantees, but the adultery strengthens your position considerably." Richard looked up at me. "How do you want to proceed? File and serve her? Try mediation first?" I thought about Emily upstairs in our bed right now, probably texting Blake about when they could meet next. About Lily and Owen, who'd be home from school in a few hours, expecting normalcy. "I want to file immediately," I said, "but I don't want her served until I tell you. I need a few more days." Richard's eyebrows rose slightly. "May I ask why?" "Because I want her to know what it feels like. The discovery. The moment when everything falls apart." "David." His voice took on a warning tone. "Whatever you're planning, Don't do anything that could hurt your case. No confrontations, no public scenes, nothing that makes you look unstable or vindictive. I'm not going to hurt anyone. I'm just going to tell the truth. He didn't look convinced, but he nodded. I'll file today. The moment you give me the word, she'll be served. But be smart about this. Your kids are watching, and judges remember parents who prioritize revenge over their children's well-being. I know. I left his office with copies of everything, the filing papers ready to go, and drove to the airport. Not for a flight, my leave had been approved, but because I needed the familiar space, the routine of checking in with crew scheduling, the normalcy of the place where I was still just a pilot, not a man whose life was disintegrating. My phone buzzed. A text from Emily. What time is your flight tomorrow? I stared at the message. She knew I wasn't flying to Frankfurt. I'd told her Monday night that the trip had been canceled due to crew scheduling issues. She'd barely looked up from her phone when I said it. She'd forgotten. Or she hadn't been listening. Too busy planning her next rendezvous with Blake. I typed back, "Trip was canceled, remember? I'm home all week." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Oh, right, sorry, long day. Want me to pick up dinner? Sure. She brought home Thai food at 7. We ate with the kids, helped Owen with his math homework, watched Lily practice her presentation for English class. Normal family evening, everything in its place. Except Emily kept checking her phone, and I kept watching her check it. At 9:30, after the kids were in bed, she came downstairs in workout clothes. I'm going to the gym, she announced. Late class I forgot about. At 9:30 at night. It's the only time that works with my schedule. She was already heading for the door, keys in hand. I'll be back by 11. I watched her leave, watched her car disappear down the street. Then I opened my laptop and checked the email account I'd set up to track responses. Madison Reeves had replied. Mr. Walsh. I don't know if this is some kind of sick joke, but if it's not, I need to talk to you. Can you call me? She'd included her number. I called. She answered on the first ring. Is this David Walsh? Yes. Is any of what you sent me true? Her voice was shaking. Please tell me it's not true. I'm sorry. It's all true. I heard her breath catch, then a sound that might have been a sob. I confronted him. Blake. I showed him the screenshots and he said you were crazy, that you were stalking your wife and making things up because you're controlling and she wants to leave you. Did you believe him? I wanted to. Another shaky breath. But then I checked his Venmo. All those transactions from Emily Walsh, exactly like you showed me. And I remembered. That dinner at Southern Steak and Oyster, he told me he'd gotten a bonus from the gym. But there was no bonus, was there? No. It was her money. Madison's voice had gone flat. He took me out with another woman's money and let me think he was treating me special. I'm sorry, I said again. I know this isn't easy to hear. How long have you known? 5 days. And you've just been… What? Gathering evidence? Planning? Yes. She was quiet for a moment. What are you going to do? I'm divorcing my wife. Beyond that, I'm still deciding. Blake needs to face consequences. He can't just keep doing this to people. I agree. I work at the Sutler, Madison said. I hear things. I know people. If you want to make sure everyone knows what kind of person he really is, I can help with that. Madison. He made a fool out of me. Out of both of us. Out of God knows how many other women. Her voice had steel in it now, the tears gone. I want him to lose everything, the same way he made us lose everything. I thought about Richard Payne's warning, about being smart, about not prioritizing revenge, about my kids watching. Let me think about it, I said. Don't think too long. I'm already done thinking. She hung up. I sat in my office, staring at the phone. Outside, Nashville glittered with lights, people living their lives, unaware that in this house on this street, everything was ending. Emily came home at 11:47 p.m. I heard her car in the driveway, her key in the lock. She came upstairs, showered, slipped into bed beside me. "Good workout?" I asked the darkness. "Great. I feel so much better." "Good." She fell asleep within minutes. I lay awake, counting down. Thursday morning, I made breakfast for the kids. Pancakes, Owen's favorite. Lily complained about having too much homework. Emily rushed through the kitchen in her real estate blazer, grabbing coffee, kissing everyone's heads. "Showings all day," she announced. "I'll be home by 6. "Okay." After she left, after I'd driven the kids to school, I went back to Richard Payne's office. "Serve her," I said. "Today." He nodded and made the call. The process server would deliver the divorce papers to Emily's office by noon. Then I drove to Power Fit Nashville. The manager was a woman named Jessica, early 40s, professional. I asked to speak with her privately. In her office, I laid out a simplified version of the story. No names except Blake's, just the facts. Inappropriate relationship with a married client. Use of gym facilities for personal affairs. A pattern of behavior that created liability. "I'm not looking for a lawsuit," I said. "I'm just making you aware of a situation involving one of your employees. What you do with that information is up to you." Jessica's expression was carefully neutral, but I saw the calculation behind her eyes. Liability, reputation, risk. "I appreciate you bringing this to my attention," she said. "We take these matters very seriously." I left her with copies of the relevant documentation, nothing too explicit, just enough to establish the pattern, and drove home. My phone rang at 2:34 p.m. Emily. I didn't answer. She called again at 2:41, then 2:47. Then she started texting. Emily. "We need to talk." Emily. "This is insane." Emily. "You can't just blindside me like this." Emily. "Call me right now." I turned off my phone and picked up the kids from school. "Is Mom okay?" Lily asked in the car. She called me 3 times during lunch. "She's fine, just busy with work." At home, I made them snacks, helped Owen start his homework, let Lily FaceTime with her friends. Normal afternoon routine, everything in its place except for the hole where their mother should have been. Emily's car screeched into the driveway at 5:53 p.m. She came through the door like a storm, papers clutched in her hand. The divorce filing. Her face was red, eyes wild. "Kids, go upstairs," I said calmly. "But," Owen started. "Now." Something in my voice made them move. They grabbed their backpacks and fled upstairs. I heard Lily's door close, then Owen's. Emily threw the papers on the kitchen counter. "What the hell is this?" "It's a divorce filing. I thought that was clear." You don't just..." She was struggling for words. Her careful composure shattered. "We need to talk about this. You can't make this decision unilaterally." "Like you made the decision to sleep with Blake Sutton unilaterally?" Her face went white. "How did you..." "Hilton Head. Your phone. The text messages." I kept my voice level, almost clinical. "I've known since our anniversary dinner. I've spent the last week documenting everything." She grabbed the edge of the counter like she needed it for support. "David. 9 months, Emily. You've been sleeping with him for 9 months, using our money to pay for hotels, dinners, gifts. I found the watch, by the way. The tag Heuer in your desk. Very thoughtful." It wasn't..." She stopped, seemed to realize that denial was pointless. "It just happened." "Nothing just happens. You made choices. Every text, every hotel room, every lie you told our children about where you were going." Tears started down her face. "I was going to end it. I was going to tell you." "When? End of summer?" "That's what you told Blake, right?" That you needed until end of summer to figure out how to leave me? She stared at me. You read everything. Everything. Including the parts where he called our marriage a charade, where you told him our anniversary weekend was just something you had to get through, where you sent him money while he was taking his actual girlfriend out to dinner. His what? Madison Reeves, 24, works at the Sutler. They've been together 6 months. He's been using your money to date her while telling you that you're special. Emily's legs seemed to give out. She sank into one of the kitchen chairs, her face in her hands. Oh my God. He's a con artist, Emily. He's done this before, multiple times. He targets married women with money, makes them feel desired, bleeds them dry, and moves on. You're not special to him. You're a mark. She was sobbing now, full-body shaking sobs. Part of me, the part that had loved her for 17 years, wanted to comfort her. But the larger part, the part that had spent a week uncovering betrayal after betrayal, felt nothing but cold satisfaction. I've filed for divorce, I continued. I'm seeking primary custody of Lily and Owen, the house, and equitable distribution of assets accounting for the money you spent on the affair. My attorney says we have an excellent case. You can't take my children. I'm not taking them. I'm protecting them from having to watch their mother continue a relationship with a man who's using her. It's over. She looked up at me, mascara running down her face. I'll end it today, right now. I'll never see him again. Too late. David, please. I made a mistake. I was stupid and selfish, and I hate myself for it, but please don't do this. Think about the kids. I have been thinking about the kids. For the past week, while you were texting Blake about when you could see him next, I was thinking about how to minimize the damage to Lily and Owen. That's why I documented everything. That's why I filed properly, through an attorney, following every legal protocol. So when this goes to court, there's no question about who put the children first. She stood up, wiping at her face. I won't let you take them. You don't have a choice. Tennessee is a fault state. You committed adultery, depleted marital assets, and plan to abandon your family. No judge is going to give you primary custody. You bastard. Her voice had gone cold. You self-righteous bastard. You think you're so perfect? You were never here. Always flying, always gone, leaving me alone to raise the kids and manage everything. Maybe if you'd been a better husband, I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere. There it was. The justification. The rewriting of history to make her the victim. I was working, I said quietly, providing for this family, paying the mortgage on this house, the tuition for Lily's soccer, Owen's music lessons, funding the life you wanted while you were spending our money on hotels with a personal trainer. It wasn't about the money. No, it was about you being selfish, about you wanting to feel young and desired and special, consequences be damned. About you being willing to destroy everything we built because you were bored. She slapped me. The crack echoed in the kitchen. My cheek stung, but I didn't move, didn't react. Upstairs, I heard a door open. Lily's voice, scared. Mom, Dad? Everything's fine, I called up. Stay in your room. Emily's hand was still raised, trembling. She looked at it like she didn't recognize it, then lowered it slowly. Get out, I said. This is my house, too. Then I'll get out, but I'm taking Lily and Owen with me. You can't watch me. I pulled out my phone, turned it back on. 17 missed calls from Emily, 9 from a number I didn't recognize, probably Blake. I ignored them all and called my sister. Julie, I need a favor. Can Lily and Owen stay with you for a few days? Emily lunged for the phone. I stepped back, keeping it out of reach. David, don't do this, she pleaded. Please, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. There's nothing to fix. We're done. Julie's voice came through the phone. David, what's going on? I'll explain when I get there. I'm bringing the kids in about an hour. Okay, whatever you need. I hung up and called upstairs. Lily, Owen, pack a bag. You're going to Aunt Julie's for a few days. Why? Lily appeared at the top of the stairs, Owen behind her. Both of them looked terrified. Because your mother and I need to have some adult conversations, and I think you'll be more comfortable at Julie's. Are you getting divorced? Lily's voice was small. The question hung in the air. Emily looked at me, pleading silently. Don't tell them. Not yet. Not like this. But I was done with lies. Yes, I said. We are. I'm sorry you have to go through this, but it's not your fault. None of this is your fault. Owen started crying. Lily's face crumpled, but she held it together, putting her arm around her brother. Go pack, I said gently. Take enough for a week. They disappeared back into their rooms. Emily sank back into the chair, broken. You didn't have to tell them like that, she whispered. How should I have told them? After another month of lies? After you moved in with Blake and they had to find out from their friends? She didn't answer. I went upstairs and helped the kids pack. Lily moved mechanically, folding clothes with the precision she'd inherited from me. Owen kept asking questions I didn't have good answers for. Will we have 2 houses? Will we still be a family? Do you still love Mom? That last one stopped me. I love who your mom used to be, I said carefully. But people change. Sometimes they change in ways that mean we can't be together anymore. That doesn't mean we don't both love you. That will never change. It was the best I could do. We loaded their bags in my truck. Emily stood in the doorway, watching, tears streaming silently down her face. As I buckled Owen into the back seat, she approached. Can I say goodbye? I stepped aside. She hugged them both, whispering things I couldn't hear. Lily was stiff in her arms. Owen clung to her. When she finally let go, she looked at me over their heads. I'm sorry, she said. For all of it. I'm so sorry. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Julie lived in a subdivision 20 minutes away. She met us at the door, took in the kids' tear-stained faces, and immediately shifted into aunt mode, showing them to the guest rooms, suggesting movies, offering ice cream. When the kids were settled in front of the TV, she pulled me into the kitchen. What happened? I told her. Not everything. She didn't need the details, but enough. The affair, the filing, the confrontation. She listened without interrupting, her expression shifting from shock to anger to something like grief. Jesus, David, I'm so sorry. Me too. What do you need? Just keep the kids for a few days while we sort out temporary custody arrangements. I'll get them to school, pick them up, bring them here. Emily can have supervised visits if she wants, but I don't want them in that house right now. Of course, whatever you need. She hesitated. Are you okay? No, but I will be. I stayed for dinner, pizza, and forced conversation, pretending everything was normal for Owen's sake. Lily barely spoke, just pushed pepperoni around her plate. She knew. 13 was old enough to understand that the world had just fundamentally changed. My phone buzzed constantly. Emily, Blake, numbers I didn't recognize. I silenced it. At 8, I hugged the kids goodbye and drove home. The house was dark when I pulled in. Emily's car was gone. I went inside, half expecting damage. Broken things, missing belongings, some physical manifestation of rage. But everything was exactly as we'd left it. Kitchen cleaned, papers gone from the counter, no sign of the confrontation except the absence of her presence. I found the note on the kitchen table. David, I'm staying at a hotel. I can't be in that house right now. I know you won't believe me, but I am sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. I never meant to hurt you or the kids. I ended it with Blake. I called him and told him we're done. He didn't take it well, but I don't care. You were right about everything. He was using me. I was stupid. I destroyed our family for nothing. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know the divorce is happening and I can't stop it. But please, please don't keep me from my children. I'll do whatever you want. Counseling, supervised visits, whatever makes you comfortable. Just don't take them away completely. I'm sorry. Emily. I read it twice, then set it aside. My phone rang. Not Emily this time, Travis. You doing okay? He asked. Define okay. Fair enough. Listen, I wanted to give you a heads up. Blake Sutton was fired from PowerFit this afternoon. Apparently, someone provided the management with documentation of inappropriate conduct with clients. Huh. Yeah. He's been calling around to other gyms, but word travels fast in that community. He's basically blacklisted. Travis paused. Also, Madison Reeves posted something on Instagram about an hour ago. Public post, lots of details about dating a cheater. She didn't name Blake specifically, but she tagged the gym and mentioned personal trainers who prey on vulnerable women. It's getting a lot of attention. Good for her. David. Travis's voice was serious now. This is about to get messy. Blake's going to figure out you're behind all of this. He might retaliate. Let him try. I'm serious. Guys like him, when they lose everything, they get desperate. Just watch yourself, okay? I will. Thanks, Travis. After we hung up, I opened Instagram. Found Madison's post. She'd written a long caption about trust and betrayal, about men who lie to multiple women, about the importance of women supporting each other instead of competing. The comments were full of support, outrage, people sharing their own stories. Blake's career was over. His relationship was over. His reputation was destroyed. I should have felt satisfied, vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. The next 3 weeks blurred together. Temporary custody hearing. I got primary, Emily got supervised weekends. Division of assets. The house stayed in my name. Emily moved to an apartment in Brentwood. Endless meetings with Richard Payne, signing papers, making decisions about the dissolution of a 15-year marriage. The kids struggled. Owen had nightmares. Lily's grades dropped. I hired a family therapist, drove them to appointments twice a week, tried to maintain normalcy while everything fell apart. Emily kept her distance. She saw the kids on weekends, took them to lunch or the park, returned them on time. She was subdued, careful, playing by every rule. At the custody hearing, she didn't fight me. Her attorney argued for joint custody, but when the judge saw the documentation of the affair, the depleted assets, the pattern of deception, he ruled in my favor. Emily cried. I felt nothing. Blake disappeared. Madison told me we'd stayed in occasional contact, two people bonded by shared betrayal, that he'd moved back to Florida, probably to run the same con on a new set of victims. I threw myself into work, picked up extra flights, volunteered for the routes nobody wanted. Frankfurt, Tokyo, Dubai, long hauls that kept me away from the house that still smelled like Emily's perfume, still held memories of the life we'd had. Julie watched the kids when I flew. They adapted the way kids do. Owen stopped having nightmares. Lily's grades improved. They saw their mother every weekend, came home with stories about the apartment, the new pizza place she'd found, the movie they'd watched. Life continued. 6 months after I found those text messages, I was sitting in a coffee shop in Frankfurt during a layover when my phone rang. Unknown number, Tennessee area code. I almost didn't answer. David Walsh? A woman's voice, professional. Yes? This is Dr. Patricia Vance. I'm a therapist working with your daughter Lily. Do you have a moment to talk? My stomach dropped. Is she okay? She's fine. I'm calling because she asked me to. She has something she wants to say to you, but she's having trouble finding the words. She thought it might be easier if I facilitated. Okay. I heard muffled sounds, then Lily's voice, small and uncertain. Dad? Hey, sweetheart. Dr. Vance says you wanted to talk? Yeah. A long pause. I wanted to say thank you. For what? For telling us the truth. About you and Mom. She took a shaky breath. My friend Madison, different Madison, her parents got divorced last year, and they lied about everything. Told her they just grew apart, that nobody did anything wrong. But Madison heard them fighting, heard her dad talking about her mom's boyfriend. And they just kept lying, treating her like she was stupid. I closed my eyes, pressing the phone harder against my ear. You didn't do that, Lily continued. You told us the truth even when it was hard, even when it hurt. And I was so mad at you at first because I wanted you to fix it, wanted you to make everything okay again. But Dr. Vance helped me understand that you couldn't fix it. Mom broke it, and you just refused to pretend it wasn't broken. Lily? I'm not done. Her voice was stronger now. I love Mom. I do. But I'm glad I'm living with you. I'm glad you fought for us. And I know Owen feels the same way, even if he's too young to say it right. Tears were running down my face. In a Frankfurt coffee shop surrounded by strangers, I was crying. I love you, I managed. Both of you. More than anything. I know. That's why you did all this, right? Because you love us? Yes. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Dr. Vance says I should tell you how I'm feeling instead of keeping it inside. Dr. Vance is right. I know, she's pretty smart. Lily's voice lightened slightly. When are you coming home? 2 days. I'll pick you up from school on Thursday. Okay, love you, Dad. Love you too, sweetheart. After she hung up, I sat in that coffee shop for another hour, watching travelers rush past with their rolling bags and their normal problems, their intact lives. Dr. Vance had called back. Mr. Walsh? I wanted to add something if that's okay. Of course. What you did, telling your children the truth, documenting everything, following proper legal channels, it wasn't easy. A lot of parents in your situation either hide everything until it explodes, or they weaponize their children against the other parent. You did neither. You were honest without being cruel, protective without being controlling. Your kids are going to be okay because of that. Thank you. One more thing. Emily has been attending therapy as well. Individual sessions. She's doing the work, confronting what she did, trying to understand why she made those choices. I can't discuss her treatment, but I wanted you to know that she's taking responsibility. That's good, for the kids' sake. And maybe for yours too, Dr. Vance said gently. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation, but it might mean peace, eventually. After we hung up, I thought about that. Forgiveness. Peace. I wasn't there yet. Maybe I'd never be. But for the first time since Hilton Head, I could imagine a future that didn't taste like champagne and acid. A future where Lily and Owen grew up knowing that truth mattered, that actions had consequences, that love meant protecting people even when it hurt. A future where I was more than just decent. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday in March, 11 months after our anniversary dinner. I signed the papers in Richard Payne's office. Emily signed them in her attorney's office across town. We didn't see each other. There was no dramatic final confrontation, no last-minute reconciliation. Just signatures on documents, ending what we'd begun 17 years ago. That evening, I picked up Lily and Owen from school and took them to their favorite restaurant, the burger place with the arcade in the back. We ate and played games and laughed, and for a few hours, we were just a family. Different than before, smaller, but still whole in the ways that mattered. Dad? Owen asked on the drive home. Are you sad about the divorce being done? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said honestly. I'm sad about what led to it. I'm sad that your mom and I couldn't make it work. But I'm not sad that we're moving forward. Sometimes ending something is the right choice, even when it's hard. Like ripping off a Band-Aid, Lily said. Exactly like that. Does mom know it's final? Owen asked. Yes. Is she sad? Probably, but she'll be okay. We'll all be okay. And I meant it. That night, after the kids were in bed, I stood on the back deck of our house, my house now, and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, Emily was in her apartment, probably thinking about the same finality, processing the same end. Blake was in Florida, running the same con on new victims. Madison was moving on with her life, wiser and warier. And I was here, a single father with 2 kids and a job I loved, starting over at 43. It wasn't the life I'd planned. Wasn't the future I'd imagined on that wedding day 15 years ago, standing in my dress uniform believing in forever. But it was honest. It was real. And maybe that was enough. 3 years later. Lily turned 16 on a Saturday in June. We threw a party in the backyard, friends, family, a cake shaped like a soccer ball because she'd made varsity that year. Emily came, brought a gift, stayed for an appropriate amount of time. We were cordial now, co-parents who'd learned to navigate the aftermath. She'd gotten remarried the previous fall to an accountant named Greg. Nice guy, stable, boring in all the right ways. Owen liked him. Lily tolerated him. I was genuinely happy for Emily, not because I'd forgiven her, but because her moving on meant the kids had stability on both sides. I dated a few people, nothing serious. Wasn't sure I was ready for serious, might never be. But I was okay with that. After the party wound down and the last guests left, Lily found me cleaning up in the kitchen. Thanks for today, Dad. It was perfect. You're welcome. Sweet 16 deserves a good party. She helped me load the dishwasher, quiet for a moment. Then, can I ask you something? Always. Do you think you'll ever get married again? I considered the question. Maybe, if I meet the right person, but I'm not looking for it. Because of what Mom did? Partly. But also because I've learned that being alone is better than being with someone who makes you feel alone. I looked at her. 16 now, practically grown. So much of Emily in her face, but my eyes. My steadiness. Why do you ask? Because I want you to be happy. You spend so much time taking care of us, making sure we're okay. But you deserve to be happy too. My throat tightened. I am happy, sweetheart. You and Owen, my job. This life we've built. I'm happy. Okay, good. She hugged me, quick and fierce. Love you, Dad. Love you too. After she went upstairs, I finished cleaning and sat on the back deck with a beer, watching the sun set over Nashville. The champagne toast that ended everything had led to this. A different life, a harder life, but an honest one. I'd learned that trust was earned, not given. That truth mattered more than comfort. That protecting the people you loved sometimes meant burning everything else down. Emily had taught me what I didn't want. The divorce had taught me what I needed. And my kids had taught me why it all mattered. I wasn't decent anymore. Wasn't the guy who accepted things, who trusted blindly, who let life happen to him. I was the guy who'd faced betrayal and chosen truth. Who'd fought for his children. Who'd rebuilt from ashes and found something stronger. The future was uncertain. Always had been. I just hadn't known it. But I was ready for it now. Whatever came next, I'd face it with my eyes open, my kids beside me, and the hard-won knowledge that some endings,